You're listening to Season 5 of the Three Angry Giant Fans and the Jet Fan podcast, where we detail the news and happenings of the Jets and Giants and talk about the highs and mostly lows that those teams provide us each week. We also tackle pet peeves and answer all listener questions. And in Season 5, we're kicking it up a notch. We have two new sponsors. The first is Carolina Beer Temple in Matthews, North Carolina, and the second is the gold standard of hairstyling butter, Rugged Uncle. Download our podcast at Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to check out our new website, www.angryfootballfans.com. Enjoy the podcast and go Jets and Jets.
Singletary comes in. Jones, pressure coming. It's almost intercepted. He tried to get rid of it. The ball, they're going to rule it incomplete right away. Players just making sure if it was a fumble.
So that is the audio from the play where Jones drops back, screen pass, fumbles, looks like an incomplete pass at first, ball's rolling around, whistles blowing, players don't think it's a fumble, no one knows what's going on, and eventually a Redskin picks the ball up, and it's called Redskin ball. We'll talk about that play in a little bit, but it's just another, early mistake the Giants have, another officiating gaffe. It's just indicative of what this season's been. We are the Three Angry Giant Fans and a Jet Fan. It's your host, Scott, Giant Mike, Cardone, and Angry Jets fan, Novak. And guys, the Jets get a win, but the Giants, you don't get style points for keeping it close, and you definitely don't get points for going for 2-pointers anymore.
Oh man, are the New York Giants not the worst 2-point attempt team in the history of mankind? I can't take it's. I mean, it's unbelievable. They don't even have an idea. Do they practice this? Do they practice anything during the week on a 2-point conversion? God almighty. Awful.
Mike's comment last week was, he talked about the averages and how the Giants, if you're at 20%, you're not going to make two of them or one of them to have a chance to win. And if you look at our 2-point conversions this season, I think we're 0 for 4 or 0 for 5. Yeah. And we're not even competitive. It's not even like we're getting to the one. No, we're not doing anything.
It feels like they're just saying, we've got to convert one at some point, don't we? Right?
Yeah. That's if someone just gave me that logic as to why they're doing this, then I would say, okay, I buy it. That's fine. I get it.
Jones took a 17-yard sack on one of them, I think. I mean, I don't know. What other team on a 2-point conversion ends up on the 19?
What other team on a 2-point conversion gets sacked? Wait, don't you just throw it? I mean, just throw it out.
Throw it away. Just, who cares?
Pull a Drake May, who's getting a ton of credit for a play that Daniel Jones has done several times in his career just to have it intercepted. So Drake May completed one to send the game to overtime, and then the Patriots lost. So before we get going, let's give a shout out. So this one's in the south of the country. So hello, Groveland, Florida. Population 18,505. It is part of the Orlando metro area, and it is the first dark sky community in the Southeast. So the dark sky communities, they have ordinances in place that require responsible outdoor lighting that doesn't pollute the night sky. So if you're in Groveland, you have to have lights that are either dimmer or shielded downward so that they don't pollute the sky. It sounds just like a dark place. Roger would probably like it there.
Darkness retreat. That's
Sadly,
is that where the dick was?
Yeah, we're in the dark sky community right now. This sucks. The dark at 5:00. Get out of here with this.
Yes.
This town is like right in the middle of swampland, big time. At least if I know my topography correctly here on this map. But man, I think you'd want some bright lights in the swamp. I wonder how many people get eaten by alligators in Groveland. I couldn't see them. I saw them coming.
The dark sky got me. So guys, I was looking at today. This is our 133rd episode. So this is year 5, but 133 episodes.
Wow.
So
man, that's a lot of anger. That's a lot. I mean,
Well, we've been listened to in every continent except for Antarctica, which is amazing.
that's
What's
a lot
going
of
on in
therapy.
Antarctica?
Yeah.
What? They don't like us? What's going on?
Giants might get exiled to Antarctica, then we'll get some listeners. So another pod, we're gonna break some sad news from the Giants community. So John Braun, who was known as Lono on BBI, unfortunately passed away this week. A younger man, but he ended up having sepsis, and his organs started shutting down. And I'll tell you what, sepsis is really tough because it comes on quickly. You don't really have warning signs, and once you figure it out, your organs start shutting down, and it's a crapshoot on whether or not you pull out. So, prayers to his family and the Giants community on that.
Yeah, that's awful. Lono must be after my time. I don't remember Lono from BBI, but yeah, prayers and well wishes out to his family. It's that's awful. Especially he said he was young. Oh.
I mean, he's our age, but still, our age is young.
That's young.
I think.
That's young.
Yeah.
Stick with that. Young.
Yeah.
My body may disagree, but I still think I'm young.
So Giants, Redskins, or Commanders, whatever you want to call it. I do want to talk about that Jones fumble because when I saw it in real time, I was texting you guys going, they can't award them the ball because the players stopped playing. The whistle had blown. Matter of fact, the whistle started going nuts when Slayton got near the ball, like he was going to pick it up, or it might have been Singletary.
I think it was Singletary. Yeah.
One of the Giants was going to pick it up, and then after he goes to pick it up, like a commander kicks the ball forward, another guy bumbles it, and finally a guy at the very end just sort of grabs it on the ground, and that's it. So the part of the rule here is that for a fumble to happen, it's supposed to come from immediate continuing action. And the rule actually says, it's Rule 7, when an official sounds the whistle erroneously while the ball is still in play, the ball becomes dead immediately. And a fumble ends when a player of either team possesses the ball or when the ball is dead. So I just don't see how it was immediate continuing action when the whistle's done and no one's really going after the ball. So what they should do is just put the ball back at the spot of where it was fumbled. Giants ball, next play. I don't understand how you award. Not only do you award the team the ball, but then you gave them the ball way up at the 30-yard line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I had a stroke about, was the fact that we come back from like a commercial break, I think even, and the Redskins are at the damn Giants 31-yard line. How is that possible? I mean, Scott, you just broke it down perfectly as far as the exact rule, but when we've seen that kind of situation before, all the games I can remember where the old inadvertent, erroneous, I love that word, erroneous whistle, where the players just, everyone freezes it, they just stop. Okay, it was definitely a fumble, that we know for sure. But how the hell do they get the fumble yardage? Is what drove me nuts on that call. And then of course they punch it in after that, down 7-0, and they're off. We're running to another show up, lose, go home type of game.
Well, and Mike Pereira said something that was very, what I thought, disturbing. He said, the whistle doesn't matter. So if the whistle doesn't matter and you're going to have that play on, what happens if someone just comes and clears out the pile? Just bull rushes someone over, gives them a concussion or something. What keeps someone from doing that? You have a whistle for a reason. And what the part I go back to is just the immediate continuing action rule. If the ball's not immediately picked up and then it's a clear fumble recovery, how do you award that ball? It's got to just be a dead ball at that point. That's where I step in and I say, once again, I'm watching a play that I've not seen happen in all my years of watching football, and it's happening against my team.
Yeah. I mean, it's, the phrase that kept coming to my head during that game, I may have even texted it once, I don't know, but it was just within the spirit of the rule. You guys ever heard that saying when someone says, well, it's within the spirit of the rule, or that,
Yes.
Yep.
That does not seem within the spirit of that rule. It doesn't to me. I'll tell you this though. My first reaction is, by God, if Tom Coughlin was our coach, someone would have fallen on that ball.
Yeah.
Do you remember Coughlin going bananas anytime there was if there is a loose football? I don't care if you heard the whistle, you pick up a loose football. and this is why. About half the team stopped playing, about half the Redskins stopped playing. But that was my first thought of it. Like losers just lose, right? We gave the refs an opportunity to make that call. The everything Scott said, of course, is correct. I mean, that's crazy. And then to have Mike Pereira come on and say the whistle doesn't matter. All right. I've been watching football since I was 10. I played it for about a 4 or 5 year period in there. The whistle always matters. I have never heard anyone talking about any level of any game say the whistle doesn't matter in this case. To Scott's point, that's chaos. That's chaos. Anyone can then play through the whistle and say, I thought it was a loose ball. Right? Well, I mean, isn't that what you could get now?
I'll give you a good example just from this week. There was an offsides by a defensive player. They did not blow the whistle, and he still ran through and hit the quarterback as the quarterback was sort of letting up. And that wasn't just a 5-yard penalty for offsides. They tacked on a 15-yarder for a personal foul for roughing the passer.
Yeah.
So he played through the whistle.
Yep. I mean, on every level. That's it. And Mike Pereira said that completely off the cuff. Like, of course, that's the rule. In this case, the whistle doesn't matter. And I was sort of stunned by that. I was still very mad at the Giants for not making more effort to get to the ball. But when Mike Pereira said that, I was like, wait a minute. When does the whistle not matter?
Haven't we all grown up on the phrase, like, you play until you hear the whistle? Mm-hmm. So that's, we all know, everyone's familiar with that. Every football fan knows that statement. So all of a sudden now the whistle doesn't matter. What does anymore in this league? I don't know what matters and what doesn't.
Yeah. When I see a clear fumble and a recovery, that recovery usually happens before there's a whistle blown and someone coming in and waving their hands. I mean, if you look at the play, Singletary's trying to pick the ball up, and all of a sudden it's not just one whistle. It's like bleep, 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 bleep. They blow it several times, and then all of a sudden there's chaos. There's like 4 people that hit the ball after that. It's not immediate action afterwards.
No, that's just everything you read out of the rule book, of course, makes that call nonsense. I was less mad about that call until I heard you talk about it. Now I'm really angry about it. But my initial anger was at Singletary. Now, to your guys' point, he absolutely was about to pick up that ball, and it's like the refs were blowing the whistle at him. Like, like, don't even try. It's
stop, don't touch it.
Yeah.
It's just a sign of the times of this generation of players, though. They just don't care. Like, they just give up. Ball's in the ground. Like, even in the Jet game, when that Dick Corley dropped the ball before the end zone, you watched after that 3 guys walked right by the ball.
Right by the ball.
Just all you have to do is pick the ball up. Just go the extra mile and just pick it up. You don't need to do anything, but just pick up something on the ground. Like, that doesn't happen in the old days. It just doesn't. I know we sound like old men, but like these guys just don't care. They're more about like turning around and facing the crowd and doing their gyrations, all the crap they do.
We saw what happened on the Hail Mary, right, last week with the
same thing.
Idiot, on Chicago. But how many times do you see in any game where a running back gets stood up in the middle of the field or the pack, and there's just guys standing around. No one's like actually still like, it's still a live play, and guys are just not even tackling. They're just standing around the pile. Yeah. And then a guy breaks free and goes for another like 5-7 yards. How many times do you see that?
Yep. And what was the one a few years ago? Remember, like, the team was at a 2-minute drill and the receiver got a first down and just couldn't wait to stand up and do their celebration. And the whole team's like, "Come again!" He threw the ball when he, just like
it was Chase Claypool or whatever his name was. Who's the receiver?
Claypool.
Yeah, Claypool.
Claypool from Pittsburgh.
From Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Yeah. They just the only thing in their mind, like while they're running with the ball, is what celebration am I going to do after this guy for the Jets just is like, I don't want to hold this ball anymore. I've scored.
And here's the thing, that was his first touchdown in his career. Don't you want to like hold on to the ball and then hand it to the equipment manager? Like, hey, put my name on this thing so I'm going to hold on to this damn thing tonight.
That's even better. Yeah.
So that one play did not define the Giants game. The Giants D could not get a stop when they needed to. Offense did not play terribly. They moved the ball. They ran the ball very well. Tracy and Singletary both were running quite well. That screen pass that got blown up and the fumble, again, that was the tackle we just signed off the street 2 weeks ago, again, giving up a big play, and we can't find anyone better there. And then I thought this game boiled down to two other things. It was the insistence to keep going for 2-point conversions when we're down 14 points. And guys, I almost nailed it. It was 21-7 at one time. And that was the play, I think, to Slayton, where we had the touchdown and it was called off the board, but we were going to go for 2 had we gotten that, and it would have been 21-13, and that's the way the game could have ended. That was my prediction last week. But we tried to go for 2 different times, didn't even look competitive in those going for 2 scenarios. And then we had that ridiculous touchdown taken off the board by an offensive pass interference that was about as mild of a call as you could possibly make, and yet that flag is thrown after Robinson celebrating. Really, Robinson was laughing like he thought it was against, I think, the Commanders.
Yeah. Robinson looked like, oh my god, and then all of a sudden he just started laughing, and I thought, all right, that's that's on them.
It's just typical Giants because at the goal line we rarely get the. It wasn't exactly a walk-in touchdown, but it was a fairly easy touchdown, right? Yeah. Pretty kind of uncontested. It was a short draw, a short pass and complete, boom, touchdown. No, not the Giants, not us. Every other team gets that call, guys. We've said this. I think Scott, you mentioned 133 episodes. Go back to season 1. I think it might have been episode 4, where I made a point when we had a horrible call against us. Against the Niners. That was the one where they couldn't figure out the Whopper at the Hickory Tavern there. And it was one of those plays where, again, guys, pick the type of play. Like on that play, is there anybody on Washington's bench or or a fan like, oh, you got to be kidding me? Where's the flag on that? He totally picked the ball. Come on, man. Where's the flag? Yeah.
Their defensive backs weren't even calling for the flag.
Exactly.
No. Their defensive backs were walking back to the huddle like,
Nobody's doing that on that play, and somehow Washington just gets gifted an OPI. It's insane.
Yeah. That is so common in the NFL that it's in play calls. Like if you hear a play call from he'll be like, ZXY, whatever, 24 rub inside, so it's in the name of the play call. It's for any team to get called for that is just outrageous. Not to mention just in a very close game, very competitive game. I just don't even know what to do anymore with calls like that. This is insanity. The way that the New York Giants and probably some other teams out there, I admit I don't watch very many other games, but the litigiousness of these officials, for some reason, when it comes to certain teams that haven't earned the right to get those calls, I guess. I have no idea what it is, but it's insanity. It's complete and utter bullshit. And that call, that should, Dable was going nuts. Good for him. That's all you can do at that point when they've already taken it off the board. Yeah. But that is ridiculous. They put rules in because of mainly the Patriots and the Broncos, or Colts and Broncos, they put rules in place to stop offensive pass interference when it's a rub play like that. Now, what the Patriots and Broncos and Colts were doing, they were just blocking receivers. The way you see this play run today is a result of those rules. The way the receiver just goes out and kind of puts himself there in that position. That's a result of those rules. That's not a penalty. He didn't block anybody. He didn't hold anybody up. Nothing. He just happened to be there. What if the route called for him to be there? Which it did, obviously.
It did.
But but what else? You can't run. If you happen to get in the way of a defender and you run at a 4-yard curl, that's a penalty on you? It makes no sense. It's not consistent. And the way these officials, man, it's like every night before the Giants game, they all get together in the room. Let's brush up on the rule book tonight. Let's make sure we get, we don't let these guys get away with anything. It's outside. I said I was going to say it a few times. It is outside the spirit of the game. There's nothing wrong with that play. If the Chiefs ran it 15 times in a row tonight on this TV behind me, they wouldn't get one call.
Nope, definitely not.
No.
The bigger problem I have with that call is that call was made, and Cardone brought it up a little bit ago, where you see the guy finally all alone in the end zone, and the ref in the back of that end zone threw that flag not because he saw anything happen, but because he said, "Oh, that guy was so wide open, something must have happened," because he throws the flag after the result of the play. And he puts it down, and he couldn't see what Slayton was doing because he was behind Slayton. So I have no idea what angle he saw. If an official in his place couldn't see a face mask last week, how did he see Slayton do something where he wasn't even blocking with his arms? And so from my standpoint, I have a bigger problem because we talk about refs calling plays when they don't see something happening. This was an example of that, and it was an example of a results-based flag coming out. They should have talked about it and said there's no offensive pass interference. They should have talked about it. They didn't.
And we're such traumatized Giant fans that as soon as we see that flag, we know what the call is going to be. Most fan bases or most teams, thinking like, "Oh, that's illegal contact, decline it, touchdown stands." As soon as we saw that flag drop, I threw my hands up in the air. I'm like, "Fucking OPI, here we go!" Again, because we can't have a touchdown that is as easy as that one was. We just can't. Not allowed.
You're right. We've never done it. So, it's the reason I knew that was an offensive flag immediately. It's the same type of thing you're saying, Cardone, is because of when it came out. So if it comes out after the receiver, after he scores and is basically looking for a ref to give the ball to, and then the flag comes out, it's on the offense, because even if he saw something on the defense, there's no need to throw the flag.
I mean,
so as soon as you see it come in after the play is over, you instantly know something bad is about to happen because they're basing their call on the result of the play.
I mean, forget the fact that it's the Giants for 1 second. As a fan of football, it ruins the viewing of the game. Don't these officials need to know? Like, here's a team that's supposed to, not compete with this other team, and like it was an exciting play, and they're going to be close, and they just killed the momentum of the game. It makes the watching of the game not enjoyable. Forget even who it benefits. Like, and it's so many times with these officials. It's the same thing every fucking week, every game that you watch. They just kill the momentum of the enjoyment of the game itself.
Well, time and again, we've heard the lackluster number of touchdowns that Daniel Jones has had or the Giants have had. And the Giants they have the second most touchdowns taken off the board this year due to penalty across the whole league.
That's awesome.
Who's got the first
statistic?
I can't remember who the first was. I want to say it was
Probably
a good
the
team.
Browns.
No, I think it was someone like Tampa Bay or Atlanta. It was someone pretty good.
Okay, but Scott, I want to bring up a point. You mentioned a segment ago about that certain plays. I don't want to say turning point because this was like in the fourth quarter, but I want to bring up the fact that even after that ridiculous bullshit call, we still managed to score the touchdown on our next possession. Forget the 2-point conversion, which was a disaster, but we cut it to a 1-score game, 24-16. The crowd was trying to get back into it, and this is the one that drives me crazy, guys. On that next possession, the first 2 plays, we get Washington in a 3rd and 9 situation, and those are the plays right there in a 1-score game that we never, ever, ever get off the field. That defense, I mean, as good as the Giant defense has been, I mean, I don't even know if I want to oversell them that much because they've had sacks and some things. But really, what makes a good defense is when you absolutely have to get off the field on a 3rd down, especially when your offense just got you to a 1-score lead, 1-score game, and they can never get off the fucking field, guys. And that has been going on for what seems like a decade with this defense. Those are the plays, and Washington comes down, kicks the token field goal, and now you're back down by 11. Game over. That was 8 minutes and 37 seconds. I got the play right here in front of me on the play-by-play. They're at their own 36, and we can't get off the field.
Yep.
3rd and 9, they do a little dump off to Eckler, and he runs wild. We haven't covered a screen in 50 years. Now, we blitzed on that, but here, what happens with the New York Giants is that, I mean, and this is probably what should happen, but guys, if we, God forbid, the Giants don't get home and get to the quarterback and make the sack,
God.
that play, it's going for 28 yards like it did with Eckler. Game was over. That's it.
Yep.
27-16. Yeah, we got the other touchdown to Theo Johnson. That was a nice drive, nice catch. That, to cut it to 5. But that was too late, too little, too late at the end of the game. Scott, Mike, and Novak, those plays with the Giants particularly are the ones that burn in my memory every time we lose a game like that, where we cut it to a 1-score game and we cannot ever. We give up the score after the score for our entire lives.
Yep. And just like your pet peeve last week, Cardone, we had a couple of got them in 3rd and 8, got them in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, and they get the requisite 9 yards to allow them to go for it on 4th down. That happened. My pet peeve from last week couldn't have been better timed. I was like on my couch watching the game going, it's happening. It's happening right now. I just talked about this. We're going to go for 2. We're not going to get it. We're fucked. Yeah. Sure enough.
Why do you think we continue to go for 2? I mean, if you kick the extra point, at one point, if you kick the extra point, we would have been down 3 points.
Mm-hmm. Analytics.
But to Mike's point with the analytics last week, the analytics of a team that makes the 2-pointer 20% of the time still isn't good.
Well, that was Daboll's answer. He was asked the question in the press conference, and he said analytics. That was his actual answer.
That's
but what needs to be factored into this is who the hell is the team running the play?
Yeah.
I mean, the Giants. You're not going to score on that. Stop it.
That's like the scene from Robbie Benson in 1-on-1. You can take your analytics and shove it up your ass with a red hot poker. A red hot poker. That's what you can do with those analytics.
That's one of the great scenes, Cardone. Right? Yeah. But first off, you had to buy that Robbie Benson actually was a college basketball player.
That's right.
Yeah.
He was like 5'7" and 128 pounds.
The worst actor in the history of acting, Robbie Benson, that guy.
Rob Lowe was more believable as Youngblood.
That's true. That's what I want to do with the analytics. I want to take an 8x11 sheet and just and just crumple it up on the end of a poker and just shove it up Daboll's ass with that comment.
Yep. They're just I came to the realization this week too, and I pretty much said this last week, but I don't think I said it this clearly, is if you want to run a team by analytics, that's fine, but you got to run it by your own analytics, your own team's analytics.
Yeah.
Not the average of the whole year. Yep. For the history of the game of football. You got to run it by your own team that you're putting out there on the field today. And you got to take that into consideration. Exactly. You also got to take into consideration who the defense is. Can you imagine these coaches playing analytics against the 85 Bears? This has got to stop. It's got to stop. I hope the rest of the league keeps doing it, but it's got to stop with my team. This is ridiculous.
You should literally be able to take a tablet and look at analytics. Like, do you have Patrick Mahomes? No. Do you have Andy Reid calling it? No. Do you have Travis? No. Answer: don't go for it. Okay, we're not going for it, guys.
Punt it. Kick the extra point.
So on the flip side, we had a win in the Meadowlands. The Jets won on Thursday night.
Yep.
And you brought it up, Novak, but I mean, I was going to talk about the Corley play, where in today's day, it's completely unacceptable for a player to not just cross the goal. There's no excuse for anyone to ever not cross the goal line and drop the ball. There's no benefit to it. It's not like you get extra points for dropping it as quickly as possible once you get in the end zone. So I never understand why someone does that. Is it to get the celebration started early?
I would have more respect for the guy if he did a Randy Moss and wiped his ass on the goalpost. Right? Because at least he had gotten the touchdown. If he gets the 15 unsportsmanlike, I'd rather that than fumbling the ball and getting it turned over. So yeah, I mean, I was not watching the game at the time. I said in the pod last week I will not watch them. I enjoyed Halloween night, and my phone is blowing up. Only the Jets. What the hell? What was that? And I'm like, what happened now?
Oh
And
no.
so
Yeah.
and I gave in as I knew I would, and I watched the last 3 quarters. But yeah, I mean that was an embarrassment yet again. If it's not eating boogers to 1 week, now it's dropping balls before you score, and who knows what this week is going to be the next time with the Jets. But all anyone's talking about is now, all of a sudden the Jets are back. They're not back. They won one game. They're 3-6. Stop it. They beat a depleted Houston team who had no business even being close in this game. On a Thursday night, no one plays well on Thursday night on the road. The Jets are not back. Stop it. They're just not.
You remind me, I don't know what movie it is, but have you seen the reel that goes around with Bill Burr and Pete Davidson? You're betting on the Jets. Why? The Jets are coming back. The Jets are never coming back.
They're not. Stop. And of course, I get on Garrett Wilson last week, and he makes an OBJ play, which God,
incredible catch.
Unbelievable. Like, oh my God, was that just insane? I can't believe he actually was given the touchdown, candidly. I didn't know the shin rule. I thought you had to have 2 feet down, but what do I know? They gave him the catch, which, hey, man, I was thrilled. It was a great catch. And
I knew the shin rule because Amani Toomer in a game had the shin come down, and I was thinking to myself, oh, they're not going to call that, because we were the Giants, but we were the Giants when we were good. So I guess good teams get the calls.
Yeah, well.
Only discernible difference.
They win a game on a miracle touchdown catch and against a depleted team with no offensive weapons who was just not ready to play on a Thursday night. Stop it. I'm not, like I said, I won't pick the Jets again this year, and I'm sticking to it.
The one thing that came to mind in that game to me was you're going to start hearing some questions, and I think it's a factor of him having his weapons out right now, but CJ Stroud is going through what they call the sophomore slump.
No doubt.
He's not looked good.
Yep. Nope.
I wouldn't say he's looked terrible, but he's not elevating his team.
Well, on top of the fact, he's probably upset because every NFL commentator is tongue bathing Jaden Daniels and forgotten about him in 1 year. And next year it'll be Shedeur Sanders, and Jaden Daniels going to experience the same thing. It's one thing after one rookie QB after the next. No one's talking about CJ Stroud anymore. All of a sudden, it's so annoying. I'm so sick of the NFL already. Yeah, old news. 1 year, and he's forgotten about. Give me a break.
And people might as well. Some of the commentators last year might as well have just been saying future Hall of Famer CJ Stroud. Before any of the comments, because they had this guy so elevated, and I was one of them. I like the guy. I hope it's a sophomore slump. I like him, but yeah, we got to stop crowning people. We have to stop doing it.
And I think you guys are dealing with that a little bit too. I mean, everyone's anointing Neighbors as the give him a gold jacket now. So now he's popping off on press conferences, blaming coaches, and he's calling out his players. He's yakking it up with Daniels in the middle of the game. Stop it. You're a rookie. That stuff doesn't happen. 15 years ago, no one's acting like this clown. Now, I'm not saying Neighbors is a clown. I don't want to say that. He's tremendously talented, but they better nip that in the bud now, because you do not want him start to go down the road of, I'm the greatest there is. I don't know what this team is doing. It's not my fault.
Yep. I mean, I just complained about it with Aaron Rodgers 2 weeks ago. It's the same thing.
Yeah, the craziest thing about Neighbors, I think through the first 3 games, he was the most targeted rookie wide receiver ever, or something along that line. And so you can't complain that you're not getting the looks. People are saying he was getting too exhausted by the end of games because they were using him too much. And now he's going, oh, you're not looking at me enough. So I agree with you completely, Novak. You got to nip it in the bud, because you can't let those things become, front and center. And on losing teams, those are the kind of things that happen.
When he said on the press conference, I don't call the plays, I was like, uh-oh, that's not good. The head coach calls the fucking plays with the Giants. So, and they're going to let it go. Can you imagine him saying that to Parcells or one of these other coaches, or even Sean Payton? No one's doing that.
But nothing will be nipped in the bud. It doesn't, not in 2024. It's not the way it works.
No,
I don't think it doesn't. They won't do it.
You're right.
It will. Nothing will change. But yeah, you mentioned Novak. Something I was going to bring up. And again, I don't care. I know these guys are friends. Obviously, LSU, the connection. But Neighbors and Daniels yucking it up in a one-score game. I think in the fourth quarter, going to a TV timeout. It's just old school fans like us, man. It just burns our ass. And Sanchez, Mark Sanchez, who was the other half of the bozo, broadcasting team there with Chris Myers. What a gem of a broadcast that team that is. He mentioned it. He goes, "Hey man, we know the relationship is not. Save it to the end of the game, man. Just save it to the end of the game. You'll be doing that in 15 minutes. Just don't do it in the middle of the game. That just burns. And most people what's the big deal? They're buddies. It's not. I get it, but it's just shouldn't be part of the middle of a competitive NFL game until after the whistles, zeros on the clock and the whistle's done. Just save it.
Plenty of players have played against each other that are real good friends on opposite sidelines in this league. How come that's the first time we've ever seen it?
Mm-hmm.
It's gross. It was horrible. It was gross. And then when Neighbors got shut down on that reverse where he tried to make more out of it than he should have, and that Malik Daniels gets off the bench laughing at him, clapping, yelling, leak. Like, all right, this is not a buddy cop movie. Just stop it. It's awful.
So bad.
I'm not built for this league anymore, man.
No,
I'm just not. I'm not even built. I'm not built for any of it. A fan. I'm just not. It's not my league.
At this point, we're like turning down the volume, not watching during timeouts. Like, what are we just watching? Like the actual time in which our play, because the rest of the time just annoys the hell out of us.
Yeah.
Well, and this week's not going to be any different because the Giants go to Germany to play the Panthers in a game that's going to be just god awful for the German fans, but awful for the NFL, and much like the Halloween puns, there's going to be a ton of German puns there.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Thank God it's not in October. That's all. If this game had been a week earlier,
Oktoberfest and all that.
I guarantee you there still will be an Oktoberfest pun.
Oh yeah, they'll work one in. They
won't be able to help themselves. The big question is, does Sir Purr have his passport updated?
Damn it, Cardone, you beat me to it.
I did.
Good one,
Sir Purr making the trip.
Sir Purr making the trip. Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel Jones has been named the starter for Sunday, which I think he should. He played actually well. I mean, he did not play poorly. Bryce Young is getting a ton of credit for a game. I watched some of that Panthers Saints game, and I was flipping over there during the Giant game, and man, the Saints looked bad, which they fired their coach today, but the Panthers, I don't really know how they won that game. They were losing the entire game. At the end, they come down and they win. I don't see that happening against the Giants. We'll get to our predictions a little bit later, but I don't know what to make of this game. Here, the Giants are now at 2-7 in one of those areas that, as fans, is going to divide us no matter what. If they win, people are going to go ape shit about losing the opportunity to get a top draft pick. And if we lose, people are going to be like, "We're bums. What are we doing? We look like crap." And one thing I do know about Dable and the Giants is they will give their all to win the game. They just do not tank, and I'm fine with that as a fan. Other fans are not.
I've always been fine with that too. I mean, even if my head tells me, wouldn't it be cool to pick in the top 2 or 3? When they're on the field, when they're out there playing, I can't abide by losing, which is a funny thing to say for a fan of a team that has only won like 17 games in the last decade. But I want them, no matter how ugly they play, no matter how terrible it is, I want them to find a way to pull it out at the end. The Panthers winning last week might be, who cares, right? But it might be actually a good thing for us. I don't know if they're thinking they're better than they are, but who cares? We're talking about 2-7 teams. I mean, this kind of thing doesn't matter. I know if we play as well and as hard as we played against Washington, we'll beat this team by double digits. Are we going to play like that? Who knows? It's week to week. If it's not official screwing us up, it's all of a sudden that we can't run the ball. If we're running the ball fine, then we can't protect Jones. If the offense is clicking, the defense is giving up points all over the field. It's going to be, there's going to be an Achilles heel that just moves around.
Well, that goes to Novak's point last week, who said it perfectly. Novak, I remembered exactly what you said. You like the Giant, and this is exactly, as a Giant fan, I don't know how to answer that question. Like, what's wrong with the Giants, or what are they missing? I think you said that, like they are an enigma. They're just a mind fuck and an enigma where they don't seem to look or be the worst team in the league. But they're not good at any one thing. They have a number of things go against them. A lot of times it seems like games are certain calls go against them, but then they also have an incredible way of beating themselves many times in a game. They make a number of plays, but then when they need the one big play, they never get it. They never get critical bounces just deflections or turnovers or anything like that. It's wild. There's no, I'm talking about the intangible things. Like, there's no blown coverages against the Giants. We talk about that one all the time, where the tight ends tiptoeing back in. We never get that.
Yeah.
So
they orchestrate a great drive in a game that they never get touchdowns at home, and then they shit the bed with a 2-point conversion.
2-point conversions.
Like, the crowd was completely taken out of that game the second that 2-point conversion failed.
One of the beats made that same point. I can't remember which one it was, Novak, but you had texted us during the game. And you're like, the crowd's into it, and you completely deflated the crowd with that 2-point conversion, debacle. Yeah. And that I think it was Ralph Vecchiano or whatever. He said, that 2-point conversion, stop it. It's taking the wind out of the sails. It's a momentum killer. So instead of coming off a touchdown, you're now coming off of a failed play.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of times, again, analytics, these coaches, for some reason, and I watched a lot of it. I don't know if did you guys watch the Eagles-Jaguars game?
Yeah, I'm going to get to a lot of that, but yeah.
Because, again, and where I'm going with that, and the reason I brought that game up is because it's almost as if these coaches have no fucking clue, or they don't understand, well, wait a minute, if this play doesn't work, like let's think about the consequences. Same thing, whether it's going for field goals, going for 4 on 4th down, 2-point conversions, it's almost as if, it's great when you get it, but then it's like a coach doesn't think through, well, wait a second, there is also the possibility and the other side of the equation, and if it doesn't work, what are the consequences going to be? Well, shit, now we're down by 8, guys. In the Giant game, you're right. It does. It's a deflating play that you're up, and then a second later you're back down. And I was thinking, man, who's at this game anyway? If you're a Giant fan, unless that's like your first home game you've ever been to. My brother's been selling his tickets the last couple games. I mean, I don't know who's going to these games if you're a Giant fan sitting up there at MetDef. My God.
Are you that much more excited to be like, hey, we're only down 6, not 7, right? I mean, is it that much better? Are you that much more pumped? Or 6?
Or you want the shock, you want the crazy shock win or whatever, then go for the goddamn 2 to win the game. If you right, if you're down by 7,
do it then. I get it.
Dayball did that once before, I think one time against Tennessee, and
in his very first game.
And we haven't seen it since. Nope. We haven't had the opportunity since.
Not very many.
You know what worries me a bit about this trend is that Dayball does not seem to be learning from the mistakes. Right. So he's continuing to go for 2, and he's calling it because of the analytics, but he's not seeing the big picture and how to best optimize the Giants' success. That bothers me because it shows me he's just going to go forward with this no matter what, no matter who the opponent is, no matter what you're doing.
Well, it's funny. Like, I don't mind the second one because once you miss the first one, you're locked into this cycle of doom that you have to do it now the rest of the game, right? But I want analytics is so easy. What's the chart say? Let's do that. Just listen to your gut like an old school coach. Just say, I know what the chart says. I'm kicking the extra point here. This team's had trouble scoring points all year. We're going to be within 7. Defense is playing okay. Let's get this thing within 7 and see what happens. But nope. You immediately, because every Giant fan, to all your points about the being deflating, every Giant fan knew we weren't going to get a 2 to tie the game.
Yep.
Everyone knew.
No,
No.
of course not.
Can we elect to go for 3?
Yeah. Can we back up to the 40 and try a 57-yard field goal?
So, well, we're playing. By the way, Novak, scheduling change came out today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Think you might have seen this. So the
I was
Jets
so excited.
Colts was expected to be another primetime game for the Jets.
God,
it's been flexed back into the regular schedule.
All right.
But this coming week, the Jets Cardinals. Cardinals, the record is pretty decent. They took apart the Bears, who had been getting a lot of love from the press up until this game, and now all of a sudden with the Commanders loss and the loss to the Arizona, now all of a sudden everyone's shitting on the Bears. It's such an up and down season when it comes to evaluating these teams.
Well, when the Jets won the game against the Texans, all of a sudden you've got these so-called brilliant, commentators saying, well, they've got winnable games against the Cardinals. What makes it winnable against the Cardinals? They're 5-4. They're a better team than the Jets. Why is that all of a sudden winnable? I don't understand. So the Jets are going to struggle in this game. I mean, they do not do well with running. I hate to say running quarterbacks, but they don't. When a play breaks down, the Jets seem to just suck. So Kyler Murray, that's his strength. He's off script and he runs around and makes, these incredible throws. This is a disaster game for the Jets. It's the last team I want to play right now. I'd actually rather play the Bills next week after a big win like that than I would the Cardinals. This is the exact last team I want to play. A team we're not familiar with. It's not a good matchup with us. They're a little hot right now. No, I think this is a bad matchup. The Jets are, the Jets they don't tackle well. Their corners are injured. There's so many things about this game that scares the fuck out of me. I'm not feeling very positive about it, but then again, I refuse to be positive until they get back to 500 if they ever did. So
is this game in Arizona?
It is.
Yes.
Yep.
You think if I would have done this, if I were the Cardinals coach, you think the Cardinals coach got in the locker room, got the players around him and said, the Bears are who we thought they were. And we didn't let him off the hook.
You should have done that in the press conference.
Speaking of Cardinals, a former Cardinal, he's looking like he's reverted back to his Cardinal days.
Yeah,
D-Hop. Have you seen this?
Yeah,
he's got like a 50-yard bomb and a
touchdown.
touchdown. He looks like he's found the fountain of youth in Kansas City. God.
Of course he has.
Of course he has. God.
Why not?
Unbelievable.
So, Mike, I'm going to toss it to you for predictions.
All right, predictions. So we had I told you last week when Scott picked the Jets, I said he's making a move. He's making a move, and he made his move. And Scott has tied Novak now for first place. They're both at 11-7. However, since Novak was there first, he will remain picking first today.
Where are we, Mike? Are we one game back, I think? Or what?
Yeah, we're both one game back. We're both Cardone and I are both 10-8 now. So not bad. I know we're hovering around 500. It's
terrible.
One
Can't
bad week away from being 500.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go Jets game first. I obviously gave it up a little bit there. This is another traditional, lay an egg game for the Jets. After getting the fans up, you get the fans that aren't exactly really following the team very well, believing again. The Jets cannot win this game. Cardinals are a better team. They don't match up well, like I said. The Jets are poorly coached. They're undisciplined. I got the Cardinals 25-17 over the Jets. Next game, which has to be the worst game of the year. I'm sorry. I know you guys are Giant fans.
No doubt.
This has got to be the most boring,
gross,
ridiculous, gross. I mean, this is as bad as the game last week, which actually turned out to be a good game, the Patriots and the Titans. I don't know how I can pick the Panthers. I refuse to pick the Panthers, but this game's going to be boring and offensively challenged, set football back, all of the cliches that you want to put out there. I've got the Giants winning this 12-10.
Now, our new second place person is Scott Cost.
You guys made me feel like I was on an outlier last week, and I'm like, holy shit, the Jets must be, nationally favored to lose this game. They were favored to win the game for Vegas.
Yeah.
So I was like, what am I? I'm not that crazy. So no, the Jets, Arizona. look, what I saw from the Jets last week, it looked like Adams is starting to get more integrated into the offense. Wilson, they gave Wilson his passes. So, Rodgers wasn't just honed in on Adams, which I thought was a good development for them. I do think they have a shot in this game. With it being in Arizona, I don't think they're going to win. Arizona, they're pretty well balanced. They can run the ball pretty well. They're much like the Jets. These two teams are pretty much mirror images of one another. They have inconsistent quarterbacking going on right now. They have decent receivers and decent running backs, and to me, this one's a toss of the coin. I do think it's going to be a competitive game, and I think this one could go either way, but the Cardinals are going to win 24-20. And then in the Giants game, I'm going to disagree a bit with Novak here. This game on paper has the makings of the Giants-Jets game from last year. However, these teams, when they get together...
How is that disagreeing with me?
No, it has the makings of that.
That's exactly what he was saying.
But I'm gonna say is that I think this game is going to look a little different. I think there's going to be some offense. I think there's going to be some scoring. I think the Giants are going to win comfortably. Mike said he's got some Grey Goose in the house and he might break it out. And if the Giants have a Grey Goose game at all on the schedule this year, this is it. And I don't know if it's Grey Goose or if we'll be going Auf Wiedersehen by the end of the game and using all of our German puns at the Panthers are the worst team out there. But I see the Giants winning this game. And there's going to be some touchdowns. I think Neighbors is going to get 2 touchdowns in this game, and the Giants are going to win 28-14.
I don't know if I call that a Grey Goose.
But it's going to be 28-7 at one point.
28-0, or something like that, right? All right, now it is my turn. I will start with the Jets as well. This is a tough one for me. This one's right on. I agree with the Scots on this one. These two teams are similar. I just think when there's a game like this, it comes down to the wild card, right? And who's going to be a wild card? Kyler Murray seems like the kind of guy to be a wild card in the game, kind of go against the grain and not quite, just follow into what people expect all the time. So I'm going to say he makes some mistakes. The game is very close, but at the end of the day, Arizona wins this 24-23. Now the Giants game, I've been teasing this one for since the start of the season. I'm picking the Giants because I have to. You have to.
Yeah.
If you don't pick the Giants here, but let me give you guys some numbers. So the Giants, the Carolina Panthers are 29th out of 32 in points for. So 29 out of 32. I think the Giants are 32 out of 32, but the Panthers are 29 out of 32, and they just got rid of their best offensive weapon, right? On defense, points against, they've given up the most points in the league. They are 32 of 32. The Panthers' strength of schedule, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but is the easiest in the league. The Panthers rank 32nd in ease of schedule. So they're 2-7 against a pretty easy schedule, and just failing on both offense and defense all year. The Giants are not much better, but the Giants, as I said, are 32nd on offense, but they're going against the 32nd defense. So, something's got to give. And then for points against, the Giants are middle of the pack. Actually, they're way up at 15th, and we know what the Panthers are on offense, especially without Deontay Johnson, who they just got rid of. So I am going to pick. I'm so tempted to pick 5-3 here or 5-0, but I kind of agree with Scott. There's going to be enough bad play by both teams on both sides of the ball that there's going to be some points scored in this. But I do think the Giants go Grey Goose on this. They're going to get to 33. That probably entails a special team score or a defense score. But I'm going to say the Giants win this one 33-14.
Can I give you one more stat, Mike? So This is the first game, I think, in the last 25. It might be 27. It's somewhere in that range where the Giants are actually favored. Think about that.
The Giants are favored in Germany.
Not only that, I think it's like 4.5, aren't they, Scott? What are they giving right now?
I think it was 4 when I saw it today. It might have been 5. I didn't see 4.5, but
Okay.
it's think about that. It's the first time in 2 years that
That-
they've been favored in a game.
That's an abomination.
The Giants' strength of schedule, by the way, is only 25th out of 32nd. So it's not like ours is that great either. But all right, Cardone.
Yeah, the fact that I'll start with the Giants first, and the fact that the game is not at Met Death gives them a chance right there. So just the fact that it's not at that god awful stadium, the Giants have there's a chance they could win this game. And I'm living in Tank Town, guys, right now. So I am one of those fans that, like, if they're going to be, I don't want the 7th, 8th pick anymore. I want to be picking 1st, 2nd, 3rd, something like that. So, and this is the game where the Giants will fuck that up. They'll win the game. The Giants will win. So they'll win this game for no other reason than they just like I think they just don't have a choice to not to win it. So. But I'm disagreeing with you guys in terms of points scored. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I see just a bumbling, stumbling kind of game. There's going to be turnovers by both teams. I don't see a high scoring game. I got the Giants in a squeaker. Really 17-13. So the Giants get their 3rd win and somehow sneak by the Serper and the Panthers there over in Munich. And then. Yeah, as far as the Jets, you know what? I mean, I hate to just flip a coin, which I was thinking about just doing before we came on tonight. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck's going to win this game, right? But Novak, I love your assessment there where, calm down, everyone. The Jets aren't back in the playoff mix. They're not. That's like, I can't stand when a team wins one game and they're back.
Everyone
Just
flops.
like when Cam Newton came back in 2021 and against the Cardinals and had a rushing touchdown, and the camera picks him up by saying, "I'm back." You weren't back to anything, Cam, Mr. Newton, whatever it is. Just okay. Which, by the way, I want to bring up a fact. So we didn't. I wanted to mention this. Daniel Jones in the first half against the Redskins had more touchdowns than he did passing yards, 1-0.
How is that
And I was thinking,
possible?
yeah, I was thinking with all the records the Giants and Jets are breaking this year in terms of shit that's never been done in the history of the league, I can't believe that they threw a graphic up there. I don't know if you guys caught it at some point. And you saw it, Novak?
I
Guess
did,
who it
but
was? It was Mr. If Eli gets 2 jackets, or if Eli gets a jacket, I deserve 2. That asshole. It was Cam Newton in that fucking game that I just mentioned. I think it was Cam Newton. I think at no wait, it couldn't have been, because was he still with the, well, whatever it was. Cam Newton was the last to do that like 3 years ago. He had one a touchdown and no passing yards. But anyway, I digress quite a bit here. Yeah, I think it's just one of those games where the Jets, the national media and everyone else thinks that they're back and that they're going to go out to Arizona. I don't know anything about the Arizona Cardinals. They're one of the teams I've probably watched the least. So to that point, Novak, the Jets don't know the Cardinals very well. I don't know the Cardinals very well, but somehow they're going to win this game 23-21 over the Jets. So there's not going to be
scores on the Jets game, don't we?
Yeah, close
Yeah,
score.
we all have very similar scores. 25-17, 24-20, 24-23, 23-21.
I want to go with I want to go opposite with you guys a little bit. I got to sneak my way back into the standings here on the pod, but I don't think it's going to be this week because
This isn't the
So
week
we
to
all
do it.
picked the same.
this is not the week.
Yeah.
I can't. There's no way I can pick the Panthers to do, and it's too hard to pick the Jets out in Arizona. So give me I got the Cardinals and Giants. Looks like we're all the same.
All right.
So
We'll see how we do. It's going to be no change, but tight race.
I was flipping the channels the other day and I saw Rambo on, and by the way, it looks like it's filmed in the 60s these days with the way things have aged. But John Rambo was there, and when he was in the rain and cold and in the depressing Northwest, it wasn't just foes that suffered at his hand. His hair did too. If he killed a wolf or another animal, he used that pelt or he used the food for sustenance. But imagine if he put wolf fat into his mane, he'd have been a rugged uncle. Wolves and other,
No doubt.
predators, they're admired for their fur, their thick, resilient fur. Be admired for yours. Get the flexible hold you would expect from the premier styling butter of Rugged Uncle. Breathe in the aroma as others breathe in your magnificent aura. Go to ruggeduncle.com today. Use code AngryFans for 20% off.
I mean, if someone's listening to this, if you don't recognize the creativity that Scott brings to our advertisers, you are missing out on just incredible opportunity. So hit us up. We are advertising whores. We'll take anybody. No, I'm just kidding. But Scott does just an incredible job. Well done, Scott. That is creative.
Yeah.
And great.
They're trying to kick
Good
John
stuff.
Rambo out of town. He's unwanted. He's got greasy hair, and he's there to kick some ass and take names.
Yes.
If
we
he
have
showed up with some Rugged Uncle in his hair, they probably would have gave him a police escort into town. Like, we want this guy in our town.
Absolutely. No, our
Go get
vetting
yourself
process
some Rugged
is very
Uncle.
serious. Get yourself some Rugged Uncle is right.
So around the league, Mike, you touched upon the Eagles game, or Chris did, I think. Here's the problem I have with the Eagles right now and Saquon. Everyone is shitting on the Giants for letting go of Saquon. No one's saying anything about the Bengals for getting rid of Joe Mixon or, the Titans for getting rid of Derrick Henry. It's all about Saquon. And Saquon did a Saquon thing. He jumped backwards, amazingly, apparently. That's making all the highlights. Then what does he do when the game's on the line? He slides to keep the clock running. Great move, Saquon, except you didn't get the first down. So while you kept the clock running and you slid, your team didn't convert on the third down, had to kick a field goal, gave the ball back to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville had a chance to win that game and really should have won that game, but Lawrence threw an interception. No one's talking about the boneheaded play by Saquon. They're just talking about the goddamn backwards leap that he did. What, by the way, that got him an extra 2 yards.
Still was awesome.
It was awesome, but Saquon's doing Saquon things. He does awesome things, and then he still has that mental error that he does, and I don't get it.
He's in the MVP discussion though.
There's no way you can't say sliding before getting a first down to keep yourself in bounds is not a Saquon move.
That's pretty stupid.
He does those things. What was it for the game for us? What was he tried to slide but slid out of bounds or something?
No, he was against the Jets and he went down for no apparent reason, and the Jets got an extra. The Jets were able to stop them and got the ball back and won the game.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like, he had the clear path to the first down and he went down. I remember thinking, like, why did he just go down? But yeah, it's exactly.
At the time, we probably laughed about it. We're like, ha ha ha.
It doesn't matter. We've got this game at hand.
That game was a mess.
What I think will be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks, what the Cowboys do, because Dak, the word out of Dallas is Dak is out for at least 4 games, maybe more. They were looking at his finger on the sideline on the Sunday ticket, and then next thing you know, it's his hamstring that's keeping him out. But with no Dak, I don't know what kind of a chance Dallas has. So does Dallas right now has a similar record to us? Do they tank? Do they go for it? What do they do?
I mean, tank. Why wouldn't you? So they can get Shador Sanders and Deion Sanders as the coach. It's either them or Las Vegas, because you know what's happening.
I mean,
I don't even think they have to tank.
Well, I'm looking at their next 3 games. They got some pretty, tough opponents. They got the Eagles, Texans, and then at Washington. And then, of course, they have a layup on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, because they play us.
It's us. Hey.
So we were talking about
the next 3 are real opponents.
We were talking about the officiating earlier. I did the check that I've been doing all year. 11 teams still in the league. So a third of the teams are averaging 9 flags a game.
Damn.
Wow. And when people talk about the flow of the games being disruptive, I still don't understand why the NFL is not stepping in and doing anything about this. And I'll tell you what, the inconsistencies that you see from week to week and crew to crew have to be maddening for these teams.
Well, the one place that the NFL is stepping in, which is where I wanted to go when you talk about around the NFL, is they're apparently might fine Tom Brady. Did you see this? For actually saying that the guy that hit head-to-head hit shouldn't have been thrown out of the game.
Really?
Yeah. because he's a part owner of the Raiders and he can't be talking about the officiating, then why is he calling games?
Oh
What?
God.
Right. What are we doing? He can't call. He actually made a very good point. As a player, I do not believe, even if though it's a rough hit head-to-head, absolutely should be 15-yard penalty. He should not get thrown out of the game. And I was like, finally, someone spoke up and agreed. And he's going to get crap for this? Why is he the number one commentator on the number one network? It's ridiculous.
It doesn't bother the NFL at all. They don't think it's a problem that the owner of another team can't talk about the officials. Can't even talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the number one commentator. Like, what
so
are
in
we
other
doing?
words, the NFL is fine with commentators never saying a thing about the officials. Never bring it up that the officials might have made a bad call. That's what they want.
Apparently.
That's incredible.
That's got to, I mean, we've talked about this before with announcers and with officials. They should not answer to the NFL. That should be an independent group of people.
100%.
Yeah.
Especially him, who deserves the opportunity, the amount of money that he's making, and the career that he had. He should be able to say whatever he wants. I mean, he can't curse and all of that. But if his opinion is that the officiating is poor, let him say it. I don't care that he's a part owner of the Raiders. I could care less as a listener. What does it matter?
Yep.
And they put NFL games on networks that like I don't have, like Peacock. Put one on HBO and let the guys curse. I'd sign up.
That'd be fun. That'd be good.
Great.
I would love that day if that day ever comes.
Let's go down to sideline reporter Chris Cardone. This is fucking bullshit down here, Bob. Oh, what the fuck is that called?
Don't you want to play with any fervor? What is wrong with you?
Right. Instead of Siragusa eating the hot dog in the back, I was like, what the fuck is going on with these goddamn stadium
Siragusa, the only guy ever to like be standing in the back of the end zone. He just chimed in on the conversation. Like there was no technical director. He just spoke whenever he wanted to.
Yeah, they never like, let's go down to Tony. He just don't. He would just start talking.
Let's go down to
Tony.
Tony.
I don't know if I agree with that, Troy.
I actually would like Mike to do the sideline reporting in it so that they come off. Of course you dropped the ball. Of course you did. Malik, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah.
Is Siragusa dead, by the way?
Yes, he is.
He did die, yeah.
He passed away? Jeez.
Yeah.
Yep.
I took the air out of that. That was a good bit until I took the air out of it. Sorry.
Wow.
So, pet peeves. Well, you guys got anything else around the league first?
No.
All right. Pet peeves.
The Chiefs are losing at the moment, 14-10.
Yeah.
It won't last.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, they'll, someone said, let's tune into the Chiefs game to see what flag wins them the game at the end.
Yes.
Yeah. This game's too close to overcome officials. Nothing going to happen there.
So, Mike, I'll start with you on pet peeves.
Yeah, pet peeves. It's actually a good segue from what we were just talking about because I'm going to stay right up there in that booth for my pet peeve, and it's going to be a short one because we already kind of talked about it a little bit, but it's weighing so heavily on my mind. I still am going to keep it as my pet peeve. So, at first when they did the Mike Pereira and the other guys in the booth, like I really like that. I really thought that was a good add to the broadcast. I was good for it. They're useless now. They're absolutely useless. I mean, to Novak's point, this wasn't part of my pet peeve, but you're not allowed to talk about the officiating if you're in the booth. So why the fuck are they even there? What's their purpose there? Their purpose is solely to, on the most wretched call of all time, tell us why it wasn't so bad. And if you're looking at it, it's so tough for these guys. That's on the worst of the worst possible calls. Any other call, they just side with the call on the field. And they say something idiotic, like the whistle doesn't matter. And then even later on the Slayton interference call, they went to commercial, they come back, our rules guy says that was the right call. That's all they said. They didn't even talk to the rules guy. They just said, our guy said it's the right call, so everyone just shut up and we're going to all move on from it now. They serve no purpose. They're there to defend the officials on the field. We don't need that. Since the announcers aren't allowed to talk about the officials anyway, I'm not sure why we need them in there. To explain rules that everyone already knows? we could do it with a graphic. Go back to here's the rules of overtime, which we got to see. Here's what happens when there's a safety. Now they bring Mike Pereira in to tell us that. Nobody doesn't know that. Get them out of the booth. They serve no purpose. And if you won't let the people in the booth, I mean, that should be a good discussion. You should hear from time to time. Wow, Mike, I don't know. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one. You sometimes do hear something like that, but they quickly get talked out of it. It's like there's a little piece in their ear, like, what, you watch it now. You're treading on thin ice over there. Get them out of there. There's no use for them.
I would have loved to hear Pereira say on that play that was the fumble, instead of talking about the whistle, go, guys, I'm not sure that's immediate continuing action, there after 5 seconds of the ball rolling around. It would have been insightful to hear that take instead of me having to go look at the rule book on a Monday and say, well, wait a minute. This really sounds like, from the rule standpoint, it was an incorrect ruling.
Yeah, that's a great point, Scott. I mean, I would love to hear these guys be more technical about it. Well, like you did on this podcast, Rule 7 in the NFL rule book, this refers to Rule 7, and, explain why that's now the Redskins' ball, instead of saying something insane like the whistle doesn't matter and then going on to the next play. It's so
true. The whistle doesn't matter. That's the best synopsis you can come up with, best assessment.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love a Q&A session where we could send questions into Pereira. Of course, they'd never answer ours, because my first question to any NFL official, if I ever have the displeasure to meet one, I'm going to say, why is there only offensive holding on first down, and why is there only defensive holding on third down? That'd be my first question. I just want to know why that is. If you tell me, well, we're not supposed to call it on the other downs unless it's blatant,
well,
that's great. That's all I need to hear. I just wanted an answer. That's all.
Why is there offensive holding only on first down or touchdowns?
Yes.
Right. Touchdowns too.
Touchdowns are the caveat. True. Yes.
Yeah.
Or if the runner scores.
The caveat. Yes.
So
that's all I got.
Yeah. Because Mike went that direction, I'm going to go next, because mine dovetails really well into that. And mine is not just around the interpretation of the officiating, but it's also around the ambiguity around instant replay. Every game we hear about the eye in the sky. We hear about instant replay. We hear about all these things happening. We never know as fans when they're actually being implemented. Someone said in a game I was watching on Sunday, I think they buzzed them down and told them they had to make that change. But then there's other times they don't make a change. So is there a guy not monitoring every game, or is there he's having a sandwich break, or he goes for a bathroom break or something, and something happens? He's like, oh yeah, well, that's okay. I just didn't catch that. When we were younger and replay first came in, and I don't think the wording has changed since then. Remember the word that was always used, incontrovertible. They would always say you need incontrovertible evidence to change the call. And they would use that actually as a crutch sometimes. Go, we couldn't see it. It's not incontrovertible. We can't change the call. But now it's flipped so far to the other side. It's the opinion of the guy under the hood looking at it. And a lot of times it differs completely from what we're seeing. I went to the Clemson Louisville game this weekend, which may have ended Clemson's season, by the way, as far as their hopes of making the playoffs. But Clemson recovered an onside kick, and the officials ruled that Louisville recovered the kick. So they're showing on the stands the replay, and you see a Clemson guy with the ball firmly in his hands, rolled over, and being touched by a Louisville player, and he's got the ball in his hands. And they come back from the review, and the guy goes, after review, Louisville ball. And, fans started raining water bottles on the field, similar to what Texas did the week before. So, this is another trend I don't like seeing happen, but it's a reaction because the officials screwed that call up so badly. In the NFL, you see that on a weekly basis where they go under the hood and they say something. Even the announcers are like, "Oh yeah, they're gonna give the ball here to Minnesota," and then they come out and they go, Detroit's ball, 1st and 10. And you're like, whoa, and they like to Mike's point, they just brush right by it. They're like, oh yeah, well, you know what? They saw something there that we didn't see. All right, 1st down. And no one dwells on it. And we talked last week about holding officials accountable from a punishment standpoint. I'm not saying punishment, firing or anything like that, but you should take postseason games away. You should have some sort of remedy for when a guy really screws up a call that has an impact on the end of the game, because it happens weekly. Every week, some team is impacted by a call to the point where you can say that legitimately lost the game for them.
No doubt.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty much every game.
I just want to see some inconsistency with this eye in the sky. If you're going to have this eye in the sky, let us know what the parameters are of when you can use it. So can you call a face mask on the Cowboys when they grab Bellinger's face mask, or is that off limits? Can you change the spot of a ball? Because they seem like they came back and they called at least one of the spots on the Giants okay after going to the eye in the sky, after marking it short. And I saw, I think it was a Seattle game, they changed a couple calls in that game. And it's like, okay, you're using it now, but when aren't you using it? I just want some clarity around it.
Yeah. If you're right about that, which I don't know if you are, that they don't have that at every game, then don't have it. You got to have that at every game. And I'm not saying they don't, I don't know. But if they don't, then you can't have it at all. You can't let just certain teams benefit from things like that. The the spot that they fixed for the Giants, I mean, we were going off on text about that, because when is that play not just waved on for the 1st down these days? I mean, are you kidding me that they're going to spot that where they spot that? I mean, that was a clear 1st down. Yeah, I'll tell you, I get this in. I missed it earlier, but you know what sent me into a blind rage was after the Slayton touchdown, or the Slayton play called Wandale's touchdown back. Did you guys catch Mark Sanchez going, well, the Redskins had one taken off the board earlier too, so we're even now. The Redskins was a holding face mask at the point of attack of the runner. That's not even comparable. Anyway.
No.
So Novak, pet peeve?
Yeah. First, I want to start out by doubling down on kudos that Cardone brought up last week to his son, which has got to be the greatest line of the year. That Cardone loves to hate the things he loves, which is when you really think about it, is a really freaking funny line for someone to just come up with that. So kudos to Cole. But I'm gonna say that for me, if someone were to say that to me, I love to hate the things everyone loves. It's a little different.
I love that.
So I'm a little different than Cardone. And because obviously I'm a Jets fan, so I didn't like the Giants growing up. I didn't like the Yankees. I'm a Mets fan. And, growing up where I grew up, I loved the teams I hated the teams everyone loved. And so there's also a person that I hate, or not hate, that I just think is a total fraud that everyone loves. And that's Jason Kelce. And I know I brought this up before, but did you guys see what happened to him this week?
Sure did.
He's at Penn State, carrying around a 12-pack of beer with his goofy fucking hat and beard, acting like he's some frat boy, trying to play off this fraud personality that he's really not, when he's a celebrity now and he's with Taylor Swift. He's on 3,000 commercials. And I don't condone what the kid said to him. I really don't, because he shouldn't have said it. It was wrong. But Jason Kelce, not everyone loves you. Not everyone. And when you act like this, and you're on every commercial and you're everywhere, you're going to have people that are going to not like you, and they're going to say things, and you have to show some restraint. I'm sorry, he's wrong for throwing the kid's phone on the ground. He's some drunk kid at Penn State who was probably hammered drinking all day at the biggest game of the year, and you're acting like a fool. You're a grown-ass man making millions of dollars, and you got to act like that? Go away. I can't stand Jason Kelce. So he is my pet peeve, and he also says, my wife never wanted to be on national television and be a celebrity. Bullshit. She's on every commercial with you now. Stop it.
Yeah.
So Jason Kelce is my pet peeve. I can't stand that. I'm so sick of him. The stupid hat and this because he drank beer and was naked in a game. He's got to be like this star. Stop it.
Show some emotional intelligence, dude. You know what I mean?
Right? Just have some restraint. You know what some of these celebrities have to put up with? Getting called out, and one drunk ass kid who you could squash in a second, says something, and you can't hold back, go away.
And then I think before that, I happened to see it before we came on. I didn't see it live on TV, but he made some half-ass, poor-ass like apology to America, I guess, where he couldn't even like look in the camera and say it sincerely. He made some bullshit comment or something about I guess again the old half-ass apology. Get the fuck out of here.
I don't buy this guy for a second. And he was carrying around a 12-pack of beer. He and his brother are investors in this company, this beer that he was carrying around. Everything for a buck, this guy.
I always think it's a fine line. I never want that fame. If our podcast blows up, I might have to, hold the reins off to someone else. But I never wanted that fame because, the spotlight that comes with it. But it's such a fine line because, to Novak's point, you get to a certain level of popularity and people start hating you just because you're popular. And I don't think about that from Jason Kelce. I think Jason Kelce has a lot of, he's an Eagle. There's a lot of reasons Giant fans shouldn't like him. But I'm trying to think, think of someone like Will Smith when he first started out. He's a very popular guy. Will Smith is sort of a miserable guy in life. And he's it's finally come out after the fact, whether he's in a sham marriage or he's a Scientologist or whatever it is, he gets all pissy with people now. And that career arc is sort of moved down. But if you go back probably 12 years ago, Will Smith is one of the top grossing box office stars in the United States. Yep. And so it's one of those things where you're walking that fine line between popularity and hate.
Yep. Yeah.
Are we gonna? I'll take the call from Will Smith's lawyer if that comes in.
Do I have to get his name out of my mouth?
He's gonna want you to get his name out of your mouth. He's already requested that.
I'll just have to take the clear test. So, Cardone, pet peeve?
Yeah, man, mine is with the this complacency and just apathy that the Giants ownership and front office is showing, with the fact that we're sitting here at 2-7 for like the 6th time in 8. Out of the last 8 years or whatever, some bullshit it is that we're eliminated by Halloween yet again, sitting at 2-7, and I have to look today to see the New Orleans, the 2-7 New Orleans Saints fired their head coach Dennis Allen today, who, by the way, like they were missing their star quarterback Derek Carr for 3 of those games. So the Saints started out 2-0, looking great, and then they go on to lose 7 in a row. And someone in the Saints organization said, we're not putting up with this bullshit, even with the fact that they've had a backup quarterback for 3 of those games. And then so they go and fire their head coach. And then on the other side of the coast, you got the Las Vegas Raiders, who they're not expected. They have no aspirations this year to do anything or be competitive, not to my knowledge or understanding. I don't recall the Raiders having to being in anyone's pick to do anything. They fired 3 people today: their offensive coordinator, and then they also fired their offensive line coach and their quarterbacks coach. Now, I'm not suggesting the Giants need to fire like a head coach or even a coordinator, but for God's sakes, fire fucking anybody. I think I've had the same exact pet peeve. I know I've said this before, whether it was last year or the year before. Pick a year. Probably not 2022 because that was our miracle year. But I know I've been saying this. Like, somebody's head has to get axed somewhere, just to show the fan base, to show that this the ownership and these people, Mara and whoever's in charge of making these decisions, like fire, strength and conditioning coach or somebody, or the Giants fired the right guards coach today. Fire a single guy's position coach. We fired our right tackle coach today. I don't know who the fuck he is, but we fired somebody to show that we have a pulse in this organization, to say, with this losing that's been going on for a decade plus, we're sick of it. We're not accepting it anymore. We're tired of it, and we're going to do something about it. They don't do it. Daboll's safe. Jones is safe. Everybody's safe. Everybody's always safe. I don't know about you guys. As a Giant fan, I'm sick to death of hearing about whose job is safe and who's sticking around and who's immune to. Why? The New Orleans Saints and the Las Vegas Raiders said, "No, fuck this, man. We're sitting at 2-7. We're shaking it up, man. We're making a move." The Giants never, ever seem to make a move in midseason, guys. And I'm at the point now, I know that's been our culture. I hate that word culture, whatever, but this is how much longer do we have to sit around and just take loss after loss after loss? I don't know, man. My pet peeve is just that, man. Just the Giants never ever making a move to shake up anything in midseason. It's not going to save this season, but at least I just want just a hint or a sniff that this front ownership is pissed off that we're sitting at 2-7. That's all.
Somebody else other than us is angry about it.
Somebody.
I remember your ridiculous Jets fired their coach.
Yeah. Saleh, he got canned.
I remember your rants in previous years, probably the last, 2 or so, where you're like, just fire anyone, fire somebody, the water boy.
Yeah. I mean, it may have been a pet peeve, so I apologize if I'm repeating one here, but I think it bears repeating. It's like, why can't I repeat it? The Giants keep fucking trotting out the 2-7 season. Why can't I repeat a pet peeve on the 3 Giant fans and a Jet fan?
We should just, archive an episode at 2-7 and just replay it every fucking year.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to take a break, we could pick up last year at week 9 and just play the rest of it.
That's it.
It would take people weeks to catch on.
Totally.
Right. The only thing when it'd be different each week, it'd be like, let's see. I think the Giants are going to lose to the, to the Lions next week. Like someone's be like, wait a minute, we're not playing the Lions. Like each week, it's just a different team. Like, wait a minute, these guys don't know what they're talking about.
You just edit out the team names. Insert name here.
Yeah, right.
Someone should, the person responsible for us having to sign a guy off the street to start at left tackle when our left tackle, who's very good but has had injuries in the past, should be fired.
Honestly, I was going to say, Mike, if you have Evan Neal on your roster and you're signing a guy, you're not even giving Evan Neal a chance, then either cut Evan Neal, trade Evan Neal, or fire someone.
Yeah, something's got to happen within that whole scenario. If you want to fire the offensive line coach, and I think he's a pretty good one, but you can't get someone coached up to play in an NFL game when you have a roster of college kid draft picks. We can't find someone to plug in there. We have a number 7 overall pick who can't get on the field. I mean, that's in it with again now one of the worst offensive lines in the country after Thomas goes down, and we can't field a team.
But it's not like the guy who's playing is like playing decently even.
No,
he's playing historically poor.
Yeah.
Speaking of Thomas going down, isn't it classic? So Hubbard, right? The guy's filling in left tackle. Chris Hubbard, some loser. The Jones fumble on the second drive, like we're running it. Tracy's, we're getting chunks of yards. The first play action we do where Jones wasn't even finished dropping back, and he's wearing a defender.
Yeah.
And it has to be the guy who, like, it has to be our second string Hubbard guy filling in for Thomas. Isn't it amazing how, like, we can't ever have that guy come in and be like, by the way, Chris Hubbard quietly had a dominating game at left tackle. You didn't, Jones didn't feel a single sniff from his his left. Never happens. The first drop back on a play action, he's getting fucking dumped back there, balls coming out. And there's Hubbard running around with his back to the play.
That's another good point over the years. Like, no, when we're running a screen pass, nobody buys it. When we're running play action, nobody buys it. But we can't trick anybody. It's, nobody buys anything we're doing. That might be on Jones, actually, when I think about it. I don't know. Who knows?
And it's so funny.
Go ahead, Novak.
No, I was going to say, it's funny watching the Giants couple of plays when Jones is like on the ground and like a couple of giant like offensive linemen are like staring down and I'm like, sorry, man. Like, big fat guys like, oh, sorry. Just like,
you honestly put one of those blocking dummies out there at left tackle. That would give more resistance to the defensive end. Just make him beat something. I don't care if it's an inanimate object. Just don't let him just run in and hit Jones on the blind side. Something more has got to be going on with Evan Neal, by the way. There's an injury. There's something we don't know about. I
agree with that.
There's something going on there.
So we do have a couple questions from Peacock. One of them I think we've probably addressed, but we might tackle it from a different angle. But his first one, he asks, is the in-game announcing at an all-time low? It's really hard to watch games and listen to these announcers. I thought about this. Tony Romo has been propped up as being, what CBS's top guy or whatever. He's had a couple of really bad times. Like when I've seen him, like 2 weeks ago, there was a 4th and 3 from someone's own 22. And he's like, do you go for it here? No, you don't go for it here. And then he goes, well, I might go for it here. And I'm like, are you really going to go for a 4th and 3 from your own 22? And then I think he was doing a game. Was he doing the Panthers? Oh, no, he's doing the Broncos Ravens game, right? Is that who they played?
Yes.
I think so.
And Bo Nix is running around. He's like, blow the whistle, blow the whistle, blow the whistle, as he's not throwing the ball away. And I've just gotten to the point now where most of these announcers really just Collinsworth is useless for the most part. All these guys are pretty bad. I tend to actually like Tom Brady. He might be one of my favorite ones.
I like Brady too.
That was going to be my
Brady.
comment on this. I was going to say I actually do like Brady, and I hate Brady, but I like him as a commentator.
So do I.
People for a while were saying Greg Olson was so good. I don't like Greg Olson. I think he's not good at all.
No,
I can't stand Sanchez is horrible. Jonathan Vilma's horrible.
I
agree.
Olson's a little boring to me. I don't know.
He is.
Yeah.
I agree with Peacock here. It does take a little bit away from the games. If I'm not watching Kevin Harlan, I'm not too enthused.
Did you hear Sanchez's analogy he used in the Giant game? He's like, Jones has got to flush that play just like you did as a kid when you flushed your goldfish down the toilet.
Yeah, he
I was
did.
like, what are you talking about, dude? What?
Yeah, I heard that.
It's so bad. I mean, I should not be. I'm sure we all go through this, and millions of fans across the country do. But I should not be able to have to correct the announcers, which I do consistently all game.
All the time.
It's not 3rd and 1, douchebag. It's 1st and 10. Like all game. Oh, here go the Giants on this big 3rd down. It's 1st down. All game. They just get little stuff wrong consistently. And of course, we go back to Vilma, man, a few years ago with the uncharacteristic drop from Evan Ingram. I mean, they're not doing their homework. They don't really know the rules that well. That's probably why they got the douche in the box with them. Oh, what's the call? So so many of them are former players of the game. Like, they can't be better than this. Honestly, you can't be a little bit better than this. And you get somebody like Brady and a Romo when he first came in, and it's kind of fresh and it's a little different. But, the NFL is going to come down on Brady this week for questioning officiating. They're going to mute him down, dumb him down to be just like everyone else. It really is depressing. Peacock's all over that.
That's good call, Peacock.
Yeah. And then he also asks in the second question, which I think we touched upon earlier, but any other comments here would probably be okay. He said, is bad officiating ruining the game we love? And he actually called out the inconsistencies of that play where Slayton's called for offensive pass interference, and in the Cowboy 49er game where the 49er guy clearly just runs into a Cowboy. There's 2 flags that are thrown on the ground. They end up picking those up and letting Kittle's touchdown stand on National Tight Ends Day. So I have thought officiating is the number one concern for the NFL, but the NFL doesn't seem to think it's a concern.
It's a massive concern.
Mm-hmm. There's no doubt.
It's going in the wrong direction. There doesn't seem to be any end to it. It's a bad trend for the NFL, and don't know how to fix it.
Mahomes just did another one of his flip plays like this, and now he's limping because he came down awkwardly on his leg. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. He's being helped off. He may have tore his ACL the way it looked.
Oh, that would be great.
It's a non-contact play, and he was doing one of those where he was being cute and flipping the ball forward, and it's a touchdown, but his leg clearly buckles.
I shouldn't say that. I don't want him to tear his ACL, but I do want him to be out for the rest of the year.
I do think he is.
Oh, he is going to. Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, that is not good. That is not good.
That didn't look good.
No, that did not look good. He is in big trouble.
He tweaked his ankle. He'll be back. Oh my God!
No, that was a knee.
He'll be fine.
That was
What I've heard with lower leg
fine.
injuries, you just give a guy smelling salts and he recovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll certainly be back out the next. Yeah, he'll be out pretty soon. No, I agree. That did not look good.
It did not.
All right, Beck. What was the question?
Yeah, I don't remember where we.
Is officiating ruining the game we love?
Oh yeah.
I think officiating is a part of what's ruining the game we love. I think we talk about all the other things surrounding it that are ruining the game. From the poor coaching to these players that don't give a crap to the bad commentators to the poor scheduling to the stupid international. I mean, can we go on and on and on for like another hour about all the things? I think officiating is a big part, but there's a million things that are ruining the game we love.
Yeah, analytics is on the list.
And that's in there. FanDuel, betting, gambling.
Yeah.
What worries me about the NFL is that I don't think they recognize or care. If they do recognize, they don't care that officiating's bad. It's almost like they just say, okay, fans will accept it as part of the game.
Yeah. The NFL is a political party right now. That's they tell you what's awful is great. They expect you to just believe everything they say because they say it. The biggest thing in advertising is if you ever notice this on a commercial, the biggest thing they talk about with whatever specific product it is, that's that product's biggest problem.
Yep.
That they want to gaslight you into thinking, well, that's the best for this or that. That's exactly what the NFL is doing. Why else do you put out a commercial that says AWS creates the perfect schedule with anybody, when anybody with half a brain can say this schedule sucks?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why put that out there? Why all the fanfare? Have you guys met anyone yet who just is like, oh, I love these 9:30 a.m. games. I love the international games.
Not one. No, not one person.
No.
Not a single person, and nobody ever will. And everyone you talk to who's even a medium level football fans hates Thursday night football, hates Sunday night football. Unless their team is on it, it's awful. And it's going down the drain, and officiating is a huge part of it. Because you'll never convince me that the NFL doesn't use officiating in this league, not to alter outcomes. I'm not going to go all the way there, but to tip the scale sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You just won't convince me of it. And until they do what Scott said in the past, which is, hey, let's back this down. We're aiming for 5 penalties a game, only call the things that are obvious and affect plays. And then also get rid of this procedural crap that doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
What I think's funny, Mike,
they're trying go ahead.
Is that they've gone away, like they've loosened the requirements for a false start. Like they're letting the tackles move early. Yeah. They're saying, okay, it's fine if you move early, but if that lineman's 2 yards downfield, we're going to call it. They've completely just moved the goalposts. I still don't get when guys move early, that is a clear foul. It's one of those things. It should be automatic. It was when we were younger. If a guy even flinched. And now you have linemen that are in their stance and they look backwards and they're allowed to do that. I never remember that being a thing when we were younger.
No.
So you have this happen, but yet they're being very strict on other things.
And they always claim, like I hear a lot of people say that, well, the NFL knows they got you guys. Like the hardcore fans are coming back always. The NFL knows they got you. They're trying to draw in the casual fan, right? That's what they're trying to do. But this officiating is not the way to do it. These games suck. The flow is broken. Nobody.
Bad football, man. Yeah.
Anyone casually cheering for their team doesn't understand why that flag is thrown on Slayton. They don't get that, because nobody does. But it doesn't make any, unless you're cheering for the Redskins. That's one of the worst calls you've ever seen.
Yep. By the way, Mahomes is jogging on the sideline like nothing.
Oh, he's perfectly fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
He's perfectly fine.
His ACL is made of steel.
Little drama. He got helped off the field.
When they talk to him, he might be talking like a horse, but he's okay. You guys got anything else tonight? So we'll be back. We're gonna go to Mike's house this
Yeah.
weekend and watch the brunch and in the German game. So last time we did that, the Giants pulled out a big win against the Dick and
Yeah.
Green Bay. So
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll see if we
That
can't
was
get back to that.
that was, if you guys remember, I'll have to look up the score of that one, but that was almost a Grey Goose game. The Giants were on the edge of breaking that wide open, and then it, like, Green Bay scored a late touchdown, made the score look closer than it was. But yeah,
And
so
if you
maybe we
remember,
have
Green
some-
Bay was supposed to win that game comfortably. So
yes, at the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was our
Yep.
one magic year we've had in the last 12.
if he were in this game, would he be the kielbasa?
So we will be back next week. We are the Three Angry Giant fans and the Jet fan. There's host Scott, Giant Mike, Cardone, and Jets fan Novak. When we come back, we're going to break down the Giants Panthers game, but also the Jets Cards game. So come back next week. It'll be episode 104, I guess, right? Since this is 133.
134.
134. What did I say? 104?
134.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
134. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was looking back at the screen, looking at see if Mahomes was out there throwing balls.
He's fine.
We should get helmet stickers for every game. For the,
Oh, like we'll look like Ohio State after about 5 weeks.
Yes.
yeah.
All right. See you next week.
All right.
See ya.
See ya.